have always known that I was supposed to be a teacher. I'm a product of Buncombe County Schools. I was a student at Charles C. Bell Elementary, A.C. Reynolds Middle, and A.C. Reynolds High School. I am teaching right now in the classroom where I took English 1 honors as a freshman in high school.
When you're in her classroom, you hear great teaching. You hear Romeo and Juliet. You hear some of the other coming-of-age novels that the students can relate to.
I try to take classic texts and show the kids the humanity in them.
They may be old novels, but she is having a way to bring them into their life today and relate to them as they too are coming of age and transitioning into high school.
Is this the greatest love story of all time? Those kids knew each other for less than 48 hours before they got married. They smooched before they knew one another's names. That's not a good love story. That's kind of a trashy love story. And I want them to recognize that entertainment and stories haven't changed all that much. We're drawn to the same kind of stories as our ancestors were. It gives me an in. It gives me a place to begin.
Let's say I decided that people with fun-colored shoes deserve Smarties, okay? So Robert gets Smarties, boring, boring.
One of the things that Miss Love does on this campus is our Manna food drive. And she gathers a large group of students, and they come in for the food drive every year, and we collect thousands of pounds of food for Manna.
I love that. I would love to believe that my students leave here civic-minded and aware that they can make a difference. I want them to stop being so concerned about the differences between people and focus a little more on the common humanity that brings us all together, because I think that makes them better and more compassionate human beings.
A lot of times my students are my biggest inspiration. It thrills me to no end to watch a student make growth. And when they come into my classroom, a lot of times they are walking in very discouraged and very down on themselves as a learner. And slowly, over time, you get to see that child start to set their own goals, and then they'll start to get excited about mistakes they make. And pretty soon, that learner, they're not discouraged anymore, they're excited.
He's already thinking, okay, what can I do for this child? What can I do for that child? And he looks into their individual needs. He looks into their learning styles, and he doesn't stop until he helps them feel success.
My goal is to work with parents to design a plan that's specially designed and individualized for that student.
A couple of years ago, we had a young man who had some behavioral and academic challenges, and Mr. Quigley worked with him. And when we sat down to tell this mother that her son was going to place out of special education, it was one of the most emotional moments that I have ever been a part of as a principal.
I think public education is so incredibly important because parents know that their child, no matter what their needs are going to get supported.
Jesse epitomizes a master teacher. He is nurturing, caring, dependable. He sets the bar high for his students.
Sometimes their parents are nervous. They kind of walk in like, are you going to know how to help my child? Are you going to know how to help us as a family? And with absolute confidence, I'm able to say, Mom and Dad, it's going to be okay. We've worked with students with struggles like this before. We've got lots of strategies to try, and we're going to be working with you to help that child grow, and we're going to do it together.
I knew I wanted to be a teacher the moment I finished reading the book, A Circle of Children by Mary McCracken. In this book, she's a teacher who works with kids who have severe emotional, behavioral, and mental health issues, and she made such a difference in their lives. That was when I knew that's what I wanted to do too.
Miss Downing is a champion for students as well as teachers, and she understands that she is the #1 reason why kids can be successful in her classroom. She's humble, she's compassionate, she's empowering to her children and to other teachers. She's a mentor, and she's just really a loving person.
When I see a student face an obstacle, I want to help. I'm not going to solve it for them, but I want to teach them the skills so they can solve it for themselves. In class, we're going to talk about Anne Frank, about Helen Keller. We're going to talk about Clara Barton and the way that they overcame obstacles and how they showed great heart.
In Miss Downing's class, she works every day to inspire hope in children. The way she does that is to provide opportunities that they might not have had and give them ways to look into their future that they've never seen before.
One of the first things you'll notice when you walk into Johnston are the flags lining the main hallway. There are so many flags that represent so many different countries that our students are from. This school has a ton of diversity. It is so important for kids to be able to learn how to work collaboratively with people, to learn to communicate, and to learn to show and feel empathy for others. And this school is a laboratory for that to happen now and in the later society.
I know every day that Miss Downing comes to school with a huge heart and that she has love for the kids first. She really does love them, know them, and then she grows them. And that's what we're doing here at Johnston Elementary School every single day.
People often ask me, what is it about you? You've just got this teacher thing. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's passion, maybe it's enthusiasm. I want to be remembered as the teacher who loved her kids. I want the kids to remember, maybe not what I taught, but how I made them feel.
Now, right now, with your partners, decide who's A and decide who's B.
My name is Ryan McCormick, and I am a teacher here at Owen Middle School. The last 4 years, I've just focused on English language arts. I've always felt that words are powerful, and I want my students to, all of them, regardless of their reading level, to appreciate written language for the power that it has.
When you find the answer in the text, you're going to stick your finger on it and raise your hand in the air. Great job, everybody.
Mr. McCormick cares deeply about students and about their learning. He just wants to go where the students are, meet them there, and try to bring them along.
I think middle schoolers are trying to find their place. They're trying to find where they fit in. It's really important that there are adults in their lives that give them proper guidance and allow them to be themselves and allow them to make mistakes and then pick themselves back up from those mistakes.
Ryan's father was a very important piece of Owen history here and was quite a fantastic teacher himself.
It's kind of the family profession. I kind of knew deep down that I would always be a teacher and that it was always kind of a calling.
Anytime you speak with a faculty member about Ryan McCormick, they have very positive things to say, and they mention how he impacts their teaching in a positive way.
I can't imagine being anything other than a middle school teacher. I think it's the students. I think building relationships with kids, they mature so much in those 3 years, and I think it's really fun to watch that process and get to know those kids and see how they grow into young adults.
I love the age I teach, and I teach mostly sophomores and juniors, and I get to be with these kids as they are finding out who they are and what they're interested in and what inspires them.
Here at Nesbitt Discovery Academy, we focus on hands-on, relevant, real-world learning, and that's Mr. Tucker's desire. He's not teaching towards the test. He is teaching the students the skills as well as the knowledge that they need to be successful within their futures.
The way I present things in class is I give them a question, I pique their curiosity, and then I give them the opportunity to manipulate things visually, kinesthetically, and in that way I hope that they can relate it back to an actual experience.
And Brady, sink or float, who did it? All right, here we go. Number 8. We're saying sink. Come on, say yeah!
Growing up early in my education, I discovered I was dyslexic, and I found that I personally learned much better through hands-on kinesthetic learning, and that I could retain that information much better. And that's kind of how I model my classroom, because I believe every student learns better that way.
Mr. Tucker strives to build a relationship with all of his students and understand exactly what they're interested in. And that helps build that interest, that excitement, and also answer the question of where am I going to use this in the real world?
When I see my students get very excited in class, I know that they are in the moment, and I know what we are going to do is going to be memorable. And that's, as a teacher, as a mentor to these students, that's how I want to inspire them to keep learning and keep that curiosity.
I'm a teacher because I love working with young children, to see the joy in their faces when they learn something new and to be fascinated by things that fascinate them. I can help them discover things that are brand new for them.
The first word that comes to my mind when I think of Vicki is excellence. She is a phenomenal teacher. She's a master teacher. Everything she does with intention and purpose.
I just want to make my classroom a place where every child that comes in feels loved by me and feels accepted and safe. I like to sit down and talk with them about what they're creating and what they're making, just to get to know them as people.
It's amazing. She knows exactly who they are, exactly what they need, and she's able to deliver that consistently day after day.
This was my elementary school. I went to Sand Hill, and so it's exciting to be back and teaching in the place where I was taught by wonderful teachers.
She works to make sure that not only do they become readers and writers, but when they feel like quitting, she's able to encourage them and motivate them, and they will succeed and persevere for her.
Just last week, a student looked up at me and said, "This is too hard, I just can't do it." And I looked back at him and I sang a part of a song that we sing every day. And I said, "If it's hard, we won't give up. Success is almost here." And he looked at me and he kind of sighed and he said, "Okay, Mrs. Fender, I won't give up." Things aren't always going to be easy in school. We just know that if we can try our very best and not give up, that it's going to be okay.
I grew up in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. My father was a coal miner. Our school was small and quaint, and everyone seemed to know everyone. And my father was constantly trying to provide for the family, so for me to have a flute was such a big deal. I felt like when you were playing your music, it didn't matter if you had dirty clothes on or came from a poor family or a rich family. Music allowed me to soar in something I was successful in. It allowed me to be emotional. It allowed me to be creative.
Our students love Miss Roop. They love sharing with her what's going on in their lives, and they love working with her to learn about music, but also just to learn how to be leaders.
I'm a first-generation college graduate in my family. And never would I have thought this little flute player that was inside of me be able to, much less leave the state of Kentucky, but to live in Germany and play in Mendelssohn's house. That was all because these teachers came into my world and said, "There's something much more than what you have, and you have this potential."
She's able to bring those experiences to provide activities for our students that are engaging, enriching, and really helps music come alive for them.
Gotta watch the conductor, ready?
As an educator, she is charismatic, she's enthusiastic, she's passionate about what she does, she's very knowledgeable in her field.
I feel like my job here is to show these children that there's a world way beyond what they ever imagined, just like my former teachers did for me. And music is that vehicle.
No matter where they come from, what their background is, what their experiences are, she's able to reach each and every child.
My personal mission statement and goal as a music educator is to cultivate a lifelong love of learning music through creative play. And I hope the children just take that appreciation and love for music to use it in their everyday life way beyond the walls of our school.